There it is, gang. We're live. Boom. Hello, anyone? I'm all alone on YouTube. Can't see if anyone's in here. It's just somebody's watching. It's probably my wife. What up, John Lopez? How are you? I was just I thought I was going to be late doing this. I feel like everyone's on spring break right now. Unicorns, how are you? I was out in my garden and I was glad that I set an alarm because I was deep in it. John Lopez is surviving. We're doing really well. I have to go food shopping again today, which is a total nightmare, and I freak out when I go because now I got to wear a mask. And if you really want to look like a lunatic, go out with a mask in life. You know, didn't work so much for what's his name, for Michael Jackson. Yeah, I'm just thinking of going out today and having to wear a mask. How insane that is.
I mean, it is, but I'd rather be safe. I want to be healthy.
You'd rather be safe than sorry?
Yes.
You should coin that phrase.
Making fun of me.
Distance learning starts tomorrow, John. Distance learning is something else. Unicorns, how have you been doing distance learning? Has it been going all right? Oh, my phone is in the other room.
Oh, that's
my bad. Unicorn said hi. Steve, I was almost late too. So, Mr. Tran's here this morning. Crazy out there. Yeah, it's your brother and his family have corona now. Oh man. Unicorns has been killing it with ridiculous videos. Yeah, we have a friend that just his uncle died of passed away from it. So I don't know if he had pre-existing health conditions or whatever, but it's been nuts. Just trying to get in contact with students. So first of all, my ADD brain is saying, Unicorns, I would love to see videos that you're making.
Are you putting them on Instagram?
I don't know that I saw them, or maybe I just didn't feel like they were school. John said trying to get in contact with students and make sure that their computers are working. Dude, I had my students. Here's an interesting assignment. So I'm going to jump in. Now I'll tell you about my assignment that I did. So Jake, the podcast guy, you can start the podcast now.
And happy birthday, Jake!
Yeah, happy birthday, Jake, the podcast guy. I forgot you said that this morning. I was going to send him a text message, but because I get up so early, I just feel bad. I always think of texting people, especially for their birthdays, in the morning. But then I'm most people aren't awake right now. So yeah, Jake, happy birthday. And for all of you that are possibly new here, my name is CJ Reynolds, and the quick version of this is I started a YouTube channel. Why? Because my little boy wanted a YouTube channel, and then he wanted to do a gaming YouTube channel, and I wasn't interested in really that was a whole different animal from what we already started. So so we started this YouTube channel called Real Rap With Reynolds. It's me and the not so secret wife over here who doesn't really participate in the visual aspect of this, but she's all the behind the scenes stuff. So look, let's talk about two things on front end here, right? And I'll talk about this later again too when the majority of people get in here. One, I usually say, if this is not enough for you, I can come and speak at your school. But right now, nobody's speaking at any schools. But I would Skype with your school or Google Hangout or Zoom with your school. I would Zoom with your school. That sounds cool.
Nobody's even at school.
Yeah, but maybe they're still having meetings and stuff. So also, usually I say you could join our Facebook group, which is Real Rap With Reynolds Teacher Talk, which is a great place. And please answer the questions so we can let you in, because there's people that have a Facebook account and they have nothing written on it. So it's I don't know if you're a real person. I don't know if you're a bot. I don't know if you're a company that's trying to sneak in there and terrorize our teachers. I don't know what you're doing. And usually I say, or you can order my book when that comes out. But as of this week, the pre-sale will start. What? Why are you smacking me?
God, you're such a pain in the ass.
Why? I'm only telling these people.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be up today. It was supposed to be for pre-sale. It was up for pre-sale the other day. It went live. Then it disappeared. What are you doing?
Okay.
I don't know.
Never mind. Go ahead. Continue.
No.
Nope. Done.
No, it's going to be one of those things. I said a thing, and
Yeah,
she's not going to
exactly
tell me,
You're
and
not
then
supposed
later.
to say anything.
I thought I was.
No, you're not.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. We don't need to have an argument online.
I know.
Just keep going.
I don't want to have an argument.
Keep going. We will later.
Hey, our online persona is that we get along all the time. Come on. Get over here. Come on. Want to come in the screen now?
No.
Come on. All right. So anyway, the book will be up, but it was something got messed up on Amazon, so I'm just waiting for it, and then I will announce that this week when that happens. And then that's it. So lesson that I'm doing with my students. Are you really mad at me now?
No, I'm trying to do something. I can't talk to you right now.
I love you.
I love you too.
I love you more.
All
right. So a lesson that I'm doing with I did with my students this week is I had them simply write 10-sentence report is the word that I used, a quarantine report. So how has your quarantine time been going? And I'm just thinking back to like when September 11th happened, that was such a unbelievable time for so many of us that were alive then, or old enough to really have some sense of what was going on. And I think you forget about those moments. Like you forget that like how crazy stuff was, or how scared people were, or what it was like when there were no planes flying anywhere. There was no public transportation. There was like people were staying in their houses, but like because we were just walking around going like this outside. So I wanted students to capture the moment. And what it really did was let me in on kids that were like, don't have food, don't have water in their house, are getting in trouble for opening the windows in their house, kids that are walking around with masks on in their house, kids who can't go see their grandmom and check in on them that they do every single day, even though she lives right across the street because they're afraid they're going to spread germs there. There's all this stuff going on in students' lives that just that simple activity that was my prompt, and then I put like 4 questions that you could answer, like how's this affecting your life, your daily routine, your family, and your neighborhood. And it was such a great way to just kind of check in on kids that I just thought it was really telling and gave me like more of a push to really be reaching out to students and really trying to see what needs can kind of be met. And almost every single student was like, I wish I was back in school. Like, I wish we were, like, I didn't realize how much I needed school before. And so that was really telling to me. So here's the gig. You, if you're new here, throw in a question on the side there in the comment little section, John, and then either I will answer it or someone on here will answer it. And then that's that. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. You didn't open up YouTube on here yet?
No, but you have a question right
cool.
there.
Steve is asking, I am a career switcher, just leaving the military, and I have a BA in English. Should I get an MA in education with initial license or just do the career switcher program? So, Steve, I would say that's going to depend on where you live. So if anyone has an answer for this, that would be awesome. But for me, I just wanted to get into the classroom, but I was coming out of 4 or more years in college because I took the long route. I got out of college and then I had to go back to go get my, what they called a post-secondary education. So I had to go back to just get the credits for education so that I got certified in that. And then I was allowed to teach. And I didn't want to go back for my whole master's because I wanted to just start making money, really, because I wasn't making any money in college because teaching, like that post-bac program took up my whole life. So that being said, some states require you to either have a master's or have credits towards a master's or be working on your master's actively. So depending on where you live, that might be something you have to look into. So if you want to say like where you live and then maybe someone here on the side knows what's going on in that neighborhood, that would be awesome. Yeah. What you got?
I don't know.
You don't have one because are you talking to people?
Yeah, because
that sounds awesome.
Thane, he has a friend who's in the hospital in quarantine for corona.
Oh, really?
For people to pray.
For sure. So we'll pin that quote, or that we'll pin your comment also.
I don't know if you turn on a live.
No, I think I can go back later.
But we will definitely be praying for your friend.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that's happening.
That's really tough. Um,
I don't think.
yeah, man, I'm just thinking about how this is like, it's so crazy. Like when the world is happening, it's happening to the world. But then when it happens to somebody that you know, there is, I see a question mark here. Joseph is asking, I will most likely be teaching in a French immersion program where students learn a second language. Do you have tips on limited vocabulary? So when I taught in Africa for a little while in Zambia, which is like South Central Africa, which is like the, so like, I don't know why I'm explaining this. It's in South Central Africa, as if I need to give any more explanation than that. And it was in the bush. I mean, like we flew in to Zambia, took a 2-hour bus ride or car ride to like a town that was close to that, and then took another, or maybe 4 hour, I don't know, some hours, long after traveling 7 hours to London, 9-hour flight or 11-hour flight to Zambia. Then it was many hours in the car to get to this town. Then it was and get into a van and then drive 2 hours into the middle of nowhere. And I taught at a school, it was all girls school there, the Matcha School for Girls. And when I got there, those students had very limited, it wasn't that they had very limited English even, it was that their accent was so heavy and they couldn't understand well, they thought I had an accent, but I was sure to tell them that I am American and I do not have an accent. So they couldn't understand what I was saying all the time. And that was really difficult. So the way that I built relationships was, one, I used humor. They loved it when I was like, the goofier I was in class, the crazier I was, because their teachers were very strict and straightforward. They kind of, I got the air of like an old, like British school that you would see like in a movie where like people were very proper. That's kind of how the admin rolled. And so being silly and just taking your time and letting kids know that you're not going to hurry them, that they're not dumb because they're taking a long time to know something. This is good practice in general, but that was really like the way that I was able to connect with students. And it's still a way that I connect with students, where if kids, like when I taught in Camden, New Jersey, at them, like, it's okay, you can learn it, but just like, dude, we got this. It's not a big deal. Like, just take your time and we got it. And that, I think that builds self-confidence in students, and then they are going to like you and respect you and connect with you just because you are making them feel safe. And I think whenever we can do that in any capacity to make students feel safe, then we're winning with students. Which one? Okay, Anna is asking, I'm a high school junior who wants to be a professional ballet dancer and an English and history teacher. I need advice for double majors and multiple career goals. So, Anna, I would say, I mean, when I think of that stuff, like college is a lot, but I didn't learn how to learn before I went to college. Like, I didn't know what my, like, differentiated learning wasn't a thing when I was in high school. And so when I got to college, and I went to a vocational school, so like they just assumed that everyone was going to go become like a construction worker anyway. So when I decided I went to go to college, I didn't know how to learn. Like, I didn't know the value of like actually reading the book. When they said read chapters 1 through 10 and answer the questions, I just answered the questions. I didn't read the friggin' chapter. I didn't read the whole book in my English classes. But then when I learned that was important, when I learned that I learned best by doing note cards, by going to tutoring every single day, by meeting in small groups, when I learned how I learned, then it made it easier. So if you can figure that out on some level, that's going to help you. 2, I would say it's time management. It's going to have to be like, when I figured out time management in college, it changed everything. Like, I would literally say, and my wife can attest to this, end September or end of August, I would say goodbye to my friends until Christmas. I'd be like, all right, man, I'll see you at Christmas. Because I had to work and go to school, and I could not do anything else in that time besides those things. So, and then I would parcel off my day. Like, I got up, I gave myself this much time. Like, this is how crazy I have to get. And I still do this sometimes now when I'm really crunched for time. I have this much time for breakfast, this much time to get ready, this much time to study. Then I have this class. Then I'm going to this study hall. Then I'm going to this tutoring session. Then I'm going to study English for 25 minutes. Then I'm going to do this. And I had to have every single moment of my day broken down, so I was maximizing my time. So when I'm thinking about going to school for English and history and being a professional ballerina. It's like, do I think that can happen? Probably. I've never been ballerina before, so I don't really know how much time that would take. But it's like, I think it's, what is it? They say like persistence or something like that is like biting off more than you can chew and chewing it. And I've been biting off more than I can chew my whole life. And sometimes that crushes me. But most of the time I can achieve what I'm setting out to do because I'm parceling off my time. And I know like you're always telling me when I have like 10 things I want to do in a day, and you're like, dude, no, do 3. Like, and then
aim to get 3
so it's
done.
having someone to bounce that off of too, where sometimes it's like, all right, you're right. Like, I'm not going to get 10 things done because when I want to get this much stuff done and there's only time for this much stuff, I beat myself up about it that I didn't get it all done. But so it's good to have a wife for life around to help you, or some equivalent to that. A someone. Doesn't have to be your wife. Nope. It could be your grandma. That would be beautiful. It's like a little bear. Anyway, Maisha is asking, are you listening to me? Yes. Yeah, girl. Has anyone created a work schedule so that you are not sitting on your computer for hours? So I have not mastered this yet. My problem is I sit there and I start doing emails. And I'm like, I'm just going to get the emails done. And then I just sit there forever and never get up. I think it comes down to, for me, it's building in breaks, building in time. So I'm only giving this lesson an hour that I have to create it in. I have to do it in an hour. And then I set a timer for 10 minutes before so that I know. So this is like a bake-off show where it's like 10 minutes left and you're like, damn, I gotta get it done. I just imagine it like that. And then I just keep taking ideas from people. I just keep using Scholastic and the New York Times to really try and find stuff. And then I ordered 2 books this week that are taking forever to come in because Amazon's busy, sending people actual useful items. But there's 2 poetry books that if you teach poetry or English that you should check out. It's called Learn Then Burn. And it is a poetry book. And then it is like all the lessons that go along with it. And it's like poetry for kids that don't like poetry. So Learn Then Burn. It's by Write Bloody Poetry or Write Bloody Publishing. And it is awesome. It is poetry for kids that don't like poetry, and everything's in there. You can literally scan the documents into your computer, send them to your students, and the whole lesson is finished. And that's for my poetry class, what I'm trying to figure out, because it's just like trying to come up with ways to do poetry when I'm not in class is like, it's so difficult. And that's only an elective, so I'm not as concerned about that, but that's what I'm thinking about. Don't forget to drink your water. If you don't drink a ton of water,
if you drink a ton of water.
Oh, yeah. If you drink a ton of water, you'll be forced to go up and go to the bathroom. Yeah, true. I've been drinking a lot of coffee also. Although you always say you never have to pee. And I'm like, that's because I'm a teacher and I have trained myself to have to pee.
Now you have to untrain yourself.
I'm like a camel. I'm like a reverse camel.
That's gross.
Sharing things with the world, babe. That's what I'm doing over here. Kim is asking a question. Do you know of anything similar to Kahoot that can be done for remote learning? For Kahoot students, students need to see the teacher's screen. I don't, but that's because I don't use that program. But I'm certain that someone does. So does anyone have like
yeah, someone said quiz.
Similar to Kahoot.
Quiz something?
Quizzo? No, not Quizzo. That's a bar game.
I don't know that one.
Quiz is Maisha saying.
It can link to.
I think that's a good one for the Facebook group too. People would be able to definitely type stuff.
Said that it can link to Google Classroom.
So if you're watching this, even later, if you can tell who was asking that,
I don't know.
Kim. I feel like it was
Kim. Oh yeah, Kim.
Yeah. Then that would be a good one.
Yep.
That's why I like having other people on here. It's like
it's
like phoning a friend. it's like on Who Wants to Be a 100-aire. That's what they should call it, education, when you take that class. Or what's your major? I want to be a 100-aire. Natalie is asking, what are some tips you have for staying emotionally stable during this time? I do not do well with so much quote unquote extra time, and without a routine, every Even during school breaks, first time question asker, LOL. Natalie, I'm glad that you were here for the first time ever. It's or asking a question rather, not being here for the first time. Look, I've been so life can feel a lot like Groundhog's Day. You're just doing the same thing. Like you wake up, like I don't have an alarm. Like I'm just waking up whenever my body wants to wake up. I'm going to bed whenever I want to go to bed. We have been eating. My connection is unstable. Please wait while trying to reconnect.
I don't know.
Come on.
It's been doing that because Google Home said earlier that there was no connection.
That's unacceptable.
It's good now. Because
we are a business. And I pay for the business internet, which is not very effective. So it's like we have been doing stuff like we eat dinner at like 8 o'clock at night. Why? Because we eat lunch at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Because we eat breakfast at 11. So it's like it's like we became a late family all the time, all of a sudden. And so when I was in school, I'm really good, especially this time of the year, getting up at 5:30 in the morning, sometimes 4:45 to do my whole morning routine. Then now there's no pressure. Now I can just kind of do it when I can do it. Now there's like my students aren't even up till 11 or 12 o'clock every day. So it's like, so when I do office hours and no one shows up some days, I'm not real surprised because nobody's awake. So we have been, and then in the afternoon, our kids really wanted to watch Stranger Things, which I thought was going to be too scary for them, but turns out it's not, and they love it. Well, the first night they were.
Well, because they know now if it's too scary for them, we just stop watching the show, and they want to watch the show, so they're like muscling through.
They're learning stoicism.
They're just hiding in their beds under their covers and like terrified.
I'm not scared. I'm fine. Why are you all sweaty this morning? Oh, I didn't have all the covers on me. So I think part of it has been getting out of my house into my yard and doing other stuff. So here's some things that I do. I'm literally looking around my house for books that I haven't read. This is what I did this morning. Projects that need to be completed, cleaning out the closet, cleaning out the buffet, cleaning out the basement, cleaning out the attic, and doing something like that. Physical activity makes me feel better. Trying not to eat all the cookie. All right. So I did eat all the cookie dough, but then this time I think we went
through our second tub of pre-made cookie dough. We are not buying it anymore. We're relying on you making it.
Actually, but if you think about it, eating a spoonful of cookie dough is the equivalent of eating a cookie.
It just shows that we eat two in like 3 weeks. We eat too many cookies.
Literally at a point now where I'm sitting at my computer working and I got to undo the belt while I'm sitting there. I gotta release pressure because I'm just eating so much, and I'm not running as much. Like I want to go out, but it's still freaking me out. So anyway, I think that my long answer to this is it is building in things that bring you peace and bring you comfort and feed your passion. So it's like digging my drums out and playing drums. It's not just working, but doing other stuff and feeling okay about that. Some schools, right, that for folks I'm talking to, they talk like we have all day. Like I have parents that are hitting me up and they're like, yo, how come you didn't? This literally happened the other night. I got an email at 6 p.m. from a student that they did the work. At 8 p.m., I got an email from mom asking why I didn't put those grades in yet. Because it's 8 o'clock at night and the kid didn't send it to me until 6. During the school year, I don't do work at home. Like I do very, very little work from home. I do everything at school. I'd rather stay late, get it done, and then come home after that and not have to do it at home. And so it's like, it's building in those times of baking, making food, FaceTiming with a friend, doing something that is going to bring you some joy and not feeling bad about not doing school. So we are not on 24 hours a day all of a sudden. So like I think that's just really part of the program. That was a really long answer.
I really loved.
Someone just said, yeah. I don't know who it was, but I can feel it. They said it.
I loved your Instagram live the other day with Allison Aspie when she talked about that topic of how like it's constant right now, but we can't let it be.
Yes. Yeah. She was. She was saying that as a principal, she was feeling like she was constantly on, and she's like, no, I can't be. Mm-hmm. Like, I just refuse to be on all the time.
Just because you're home and accessible doesn't mean you should have to be on all the time.
Yeah, because that's what it feels like at school, right? So at school, I feel like I'm on all the time. And now that I'm not at school, it feels like now there's definitely no ending to it. Erica Hernandez is asking, I'm a college senior trying to look for a teaching position in the fall, but I'm uncertain about what the hiring process is going to look like right now. Do you have any insight? I have a chance? So I think, Erica, so that's interesting. I wonder what everyone else is kind of thinking about this. So guys, what do you think about what it's going to be like to get a job in the summer or in September? I think it could go a couple of different ways. One, our school sends out every year a form around February, March, something like that. That's an intent to return form. So like, are you coming back? Are you not coming back? Or are you not sure if you're coming back? So that we can start looking for people for those positions as early as possible. But this year, I feel like maybe a lot of people that were going to leave might end up staying because, one, we have a steady paycheck. Like, we're getting paid every 2 weeks, even though we're not like, we don't like, we're not at school. And in Philly, you get paid all summer too. So you get paycheck every 2 weeks all summer, which we're in Jersey, that didn't happen. And the school that I was at, there was no opportunity to save money to, like, you had to do it yourself. They didn't have like that pull it out of your paycheck thing. So like, I wonder if some of those folks are going to stay, or I wonder if people are like, this is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. That like, what if we get to September and we're still distance learning? What if that goes into next year? Like, that could be so crazy for some people that they're just going to be like, nope, I'm going to take the early retirement. I'm going to look for a new job. I'm going to do something else. But what jobs are out there right now? Like, unless you can get something. I think
everybody's doing, schools that are hiring already know. And I think they're doing like Google Hangouts and Zoom interviews.
Yeah. Oh, they are for sure. That's how we're doing it for next year. I know. But it's, but do people stay now because
I think you're going to have people stay for safety reasons.
Yeah, because they have, you have mortgages security and stuff. And it's like, if you can't get another job, and who wants to teach another school online and learn their situation,
Someone said our school is already talking about starting in August online. Gosh, I really hope not. That would be awful.
What, starting online next year?
Yeah, in August.
Well, that's their school district. Like, we don't start until
September. Right.
I don't think our school, knowing the admin, I don't see them making us go back earlier. I just don't think that's gonna, like, even for spring break, they were like, do not do work. Like, here's how you set up an away message on your email. No, but that might be
when their school just generally starts back up. Like, so, but they're already thinking that might not be a possibility, is to start back regular and going online.
Yeah, I think that's a real possibility, but I think it's something that like folks aren't wanting to talk about yet because they don't want to freak anybody out. Joseph is asking, question, anyone play around with encouraging participation in classroom? Most likely will be teaching math in a French language school. So wondering how to help students feel safe making math mistakes. Participation. So that's a good question. So in general, how do we encourage participation and make kids not feel like dumb about not knowing the answer? One way that I saw, and so this is a little bit more difficult. Well, I mean, actually, maybe not now because we're online. I have kids that are trying more now that we're online. I have kids that are handing in work that is better than work they used to hand in. And because it's online, it's like, if it sucks, if you don't do it right, I'll send it back to you. You can fix it and send it back to me. Because I don't have all these other, it's like a thing to grade a day instead of the 3 to 4 things that we do in class. And some of those are graded and some of them I don't. And some of those I can like grade, like just walking around, or if it's for completion or whatever. But someone told me there's this really great book, it's over there somewhere, about teaching all boys that I read because I teach at all boys school. And this woman said one of the things that she noted in the school one time was having the teacher had whiteboards all around her room or on 3 sides of her room. And so when students were practicing math problems specifically, they were standing at the board and everyone was working at the board, and the teacher could stand back and watch everyone sitting like this or standing like this. So the boys all had to do their work there. She could see who knew it, who didn't know it, who was stuck. She could see all of their work. And the students couldn't necessarily, without a degree of effort, see what everyone else was doing. And I just thought that was such a great idea. So this year I started using, we just do it on note cards or on big pieces of paper that I hand out to the students, which is not, saving the turtles, but it is. I know. Mars really saving the turtles lately. So I will do like a quiz for vocab, and then I have everyone hold the answer up, and like the faster the answers go up, the more credit those students get, or some version of that. So I think that is possible. And then I know if someone can share on here, I'm sure you guys have 100 of these. There are programs that I don't use because all my students have phones, and we're not one-to-one at my school, but there are programs where students can anonymously throw answers up on the board. And if they have an answer, so you would be able to know probably who the student was, but it doesn't go out to everyone. But they can put answers up on the board, and then that is what you're doing is creating, again, a safe space for students to answer things and to try without having to say who they are or something along those lines. So that could be a really good opportunity as well, or working as a group. Like, so if you just strategically put kids in groups, I don't let kids pick their own groups most of the time because they pick terrible groups, and then it's like, of course you failed because you picked your best friend, or you picked the girl that was cute or the guy that was handsome, and that was your whole basis for why you picked that individual off of cuteness. I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why we got married, but other than that, I wouldn't do that in not anything else. Cece, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Cece is asking, I am an English teacher and I had a hard time making a transition to online class on Zoom. Do you have tips for teachers to interact with students and to make class fun and engaging online? Cece, I think, so I'm really happy so I think my school was talking about doing live teaching online, and I just didn't want to do it. I thought it was a terrible idea because for any number of reasons, right? Because logistically, my students can't all get online at the same time that living from home is providing. They are like babysitting now. They are taking care of the house now. They're taking care of grandma. They're doing other things. So like the 9 to 5 school day didn't work anymore, or 8 to 4, whatever the hell it was. It's been too long. I don't remember anymore. But the logistics of that is messed up. Plus, making a video for your students is so much better because they have time to watch it. They have time to like watch it and process it and rewind it or pause it and think, well, what does that mean? And what do I want to do? And like they have that ability to do that. And I really noticed, I don't know if you're paying attention to me. I notice how important that is when even just watching Stranger Things or other shows with our kids, how Bro and Mar don't always get what's going on right away. But the ability to pause the show and say, wait, I don't get it. So the other day on Stranger Things season 1, they're talking about the flea and the acrobat. And the science teacher holds up this paper plate and he draws a tightrope and he says, we are on a tightrope and we can walk back and forth. And he draws a stick figure. He goes, but a flea has the ability to walk on the side of that rope and walk back and forth. And sort of this idea of how parallel universes would work if they existed. And so Bro didn't get it. We were able to pause it, break it down so he got it. And then he got the bigger picture later on when some of those sorts of parallel universes were colliding in the show. And I just think that is one of the beauties of online learning, is creating something that students can pause and go back to and listen to.
It's hard in the classroom. When you talk about like the train is moving, I hate when you say that because I feel for my slower processors like that they can't keep up with the train sometimes, and that's
you do. But here the issue with that is teachers aren't allowed to stop and do stuff. So you have to either break the rules or comply. Yeah. And if you just comply, then students get lost. Or you're gauging your class all the time. It's why I love when our pastor is always like, he's like reading the crowd and he'll be like, y'all missed that. And then he'll say it again. Or do you hear what I'm saying? Does anyone hear what I'm saying? And if he didn't get the feedback on something that he wanted, or that the reaction he thought he was going to get, he'll say it again. And dude, I swear 9 times out of 10 when he goes, y'all just missed that. I'm like, no, I totally did. I totally missed that because I was thinking about something else that you said.
I'm processing, or I like what he.
But that's how school is. It's like if you have a 5-step process on a math problem and someone's trying to think through 1 and 2, and there's only so much time to get through the whole thing, then it's tough. So I think that's the beauty of this online learning piece. So how do we make it more engaging? I think by making lessons short and sweet, number one. A lot of times we as teachers make lectures 40 minutes when they can be 5 or 10 minutes. I think making them engaging by doing something that is engaging to students. So for instance, I was telling one of my mentees yesterday that to take like a regular lesson, and when you're making a video or if you're going live, play music at the beginning of it, because everyone loves music. That's why there's music at the beginning of every show. It engages you, right? It brings you in, it hooks you. Music could be in there. I use humor a lot in my videos I've been making for my students because I just think that it's going to hopefully make them want to show up. So if anyone saw my ridiculous video that I made the other day where I was playing my sweet guitar that Rob Proctor gave me and wearing a cowboy hat, and so that's what I did in the beginning of my video, and I had like the Wild West behind me. It just makes it more engaging for the students. And then telling a story. This is what I've been up to. You know, guys, so I'll think about what I'm doing. So maybe we're learning about imagery. And I would say something like, I was working in my backyard the other day, and then I would describe, I would use imagery in my talk about my backyard, what the dirt looked like, what the compost looked like, what the tree looked like, what the tulip looked like that was blooming out of the ground. Like I would paint the picture for them and then tell them, you know, when we do this, it's called imagery. So you're just taking a snapshot of like, what does quarantine life look like for you? And then using that to tie in to your class and then asking students to do the same thing. I think that is part of the move of creating engaging content because you're being a human being. And the last thing I think always that I say is finding out stuff that your students are already interested in and tying it into lessons. I think it's the easiest thing to do. I did it last week. I gave a lesson on this hip hop artist who I think is terrible, by the way, his name's Lil Pump. And Lil Pump, I have to say it like that because I don't really care for him. So it's Lil Pump. But he made an album and I found a review on it. And then I just made a lesson based off the review of that album and had students respond to it. And that's what we did. And it was good. I think it was more engaging because it was something that they already liked. Kimberly is asking, question, I'm a para and we'll start working online after spring break next week. Any tips? Kim, did you change your picture? I think I never saw your face before. so interesting. It's like interesting it's really interesting when you see someone in real life or like on a FaceTime call and you're like, yeah, I never like saw your face before. It's so interesting. I just know your name. So Kim, I would say, one of the questions I'm getting from paras or from like co-teachers is how do they fit into the equation? Now, look, she doesn't watch this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe if you are watching, then you'll hear this. But I have a co-teacher now, and it feels right now like an extra step to figure out how the co-teacher fits in. And I'm also trying to be mindful of the fact that my co-teacher has multiple classes. My co-teacher also has all the special ed paperwork to do and is contacting parents and doing whatever else she's doing. So for me to ask her to say, here's my lesson, do you approve? Which I know it's going to be fine already. That's just feels like another thing I'm giving someone else to do. So I think what would really be useful is if I was in your position, I would create jobs for myself. Like, so you could ask, but if you're not getting stuff to do, make a job for yourself. You already know the kids that are having a hard time, the kids that you sat with in class all the time to explain the whole process of what was going down. Like when everyone else was on question 10 and you guys were on question 2 because you're walking them through it and making sure that they actually understand it. Those students still need that level of help. And I think more than ever, parents are learning that teachers are professionals, that we actually have a gift, that it's not just disseminating information to students, but it's actually a craft of learning how to communicate with people and getting them from here to here. And that's easier said than done. So it's, I think, calling home, connecting with the students online and like making a job for yourself and saying, here's 5 kids I'm going to keep up on this week that I'm going to make sure that they really, really, really know what's going on. That's sort of the stuff that I would look at, because I'm feeling like for those teachers, for those paras, for those assistants that aren't from the school, or for the teachers, it's because they're already trying to make out 50 decisions a day of how to make this work. I think it's showing up and saying, we're going to make this better. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to figure out the best way to spend my time. Because if I wasn't teaching, I would 100% be on the phone or on a FaceTime call or something with those students every day, just building them up, just letting them know that they're not alone, just letting them know that they can do the work and that this will be all right. That's what I would spend my time doing. If anyone else is a para or an aide in a class, if you could share your ideas on that too, I'm sure that would be really useful. Man, I talk so much lately that I'm like losing my voice more than school.
You drinking my water?
I'm drinking your mason jar. I already have this hat on. Makes me look like a hipster today.
Unicorns loves that cup.
What? These purple jars. I know the kids always think I'm drinking something purple at school. When you put my green nastiness in there, they're like, Reynolds, what are you drinking? That's purple. Tell them it's unicorn blood. Oh no!
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry, unicorns. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. I teach. There's not a lot of unicorn lovers in West Philadelphia, I don't think, except for Barry. What's up? More? Which more? I see you. Rose Goku Black. This means that has to be some kind of anime loving student is what it means.
Yeah.
She said no. Sorry. I'll never use that metaphor again. Sean, yo, Moore, I see you there now. What's up, buddy? This is my student on here. I'm a student last year anyway. I hope you're doing all right, man. I'm sure you're I mean, if you're on my live feed, then you must be really bored. But I hope you're doing good, man. This is unprecedented times that we're going through. Sean Mayer is asking, hey, everyone, any tips or advice for web-based online testing? Dude, Sean, I'd love to know, because I have zero idea. As I've thought about it, the only way I've thought about it is by doing, so if you wanted to do some sort of multiple choice kind of a gig, it's Google Forms on Google Classroom, but what stops kids from looking up on their phones when they're on the computer?
I know, because they have that option to write like lock it or something,
yeah,
so you can see if they're leaving the screen. But
I think
you can't see on a phone.
It's got to come down to doing some kind of open book test and either or project based or something like that, where it's like just, you know.
How do they do project based?
I mean, you could do projects online, like if you have a computer, because I mean, if you don't have a computer, you're not doing anything anyway, really, unless you're just filling out packets, and then you can't do a test anyway. But if you have a computer, you can do some sort of project, whether you're using, so for English, I've been thinking a lot about Toondoo and Storybird and some of those other sites. Man, my hair is, look at this. Look, magic. Let's just leave it like this.
Oh, you're really letting people see it today,
There's the thumbnail right there. Well, you can't get haircuts right now. Talk about first world real problems.
You could still fix your hair. You didn't even do that.
Well, that's because I was out in the garden all morning. Amanda Davis is, so anyway, I would love to know what people are doing for testing. I think that's a question I'm going to put in the Facebook group too. Like, how are you assessing your students aside from daily work in a test taking manner on using while you're teaching online? That's a great question. Amanda Davis is saying, I have an interview to keep my class next year. I've been a long-term sub this semester. Okay, cool. Any tips? I have to do a 10-minute lesson on ELA or reading 6th to 8th grade. So my interview tips are always the same. Learn something about the school. Talk about like you're excited about it. I would look into, especially since we're online right now, like what kind of online learning are you going to be able to facilitate next year, and the best way that you're going to be able to do that. So like do a deep dive into some of the things that are really working for people. That would be a great question to put in the Facebook group. Also see what's actually working for people. And then for oh gosh, what would I do? That might take me a minute. What would I do for a lesson if I was interviewing and I had to do a sample lesson on the computer?
You would make a YouTube video still.
I think I still would make a YouTube video. I would make a green screen. So look, dude, that's all right. So let's break that down for a second. That's such a great idea because it's showing a school how much you're willing to do to get a job. And you can reuse that. If you didn't get this job and you were going for another interview, send that in, send the lesson in, and then say, if there was a live portion to this, this is how I would do that as well. And I mean, I've only ever done like a handful of these things, but I always do the same one. And I always did inferences. So we would read like a short story where students would have to, so we would start off and we would do, there's a couple of different things. I always did inferences though. And I would do, there's a Pixar video that is, if you type in Pixar shorts, there's one with a man and donkey and they're walking up this hill. So I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but that's the one. And there is no speaking in it. So you have to infer what people are thinking, how they're feeling in that. And so we watch that. And then I ask them like, how do you know the man was mad? How do you know the donkey was being stubborn? How do you know it was hot outside? How do you know that they were having fun? Because we have to infer by what we're looking at, not because they're telling us or the language that they're using. I then did charades. So I just like put different things in a hat and have kids pull them out and then they have to act it out. You could still do that online. It would be really funny. And then we read a story and then we read questions about inferences that we need to make in the story. And so that's basically what I did. There's some other kind of bells and whistles in there too, but that's basically what I did. And I think that's totally doable online as well. Kirsten Schnell is asking, hey, Reynolds, I'm back after a long hiatus. Kristen, welcome back. Am I saying it right? Kirsten, I just said Kristen because I don't know. I was going to make it.
Because you're reading too fast.
I'm trying to read too fast.
You're like, it's that second cup of coffee. I can tell it's really kicked in for you.
I don't know what we're talking about right now. I did not have a second cup of coffee, and it's making me really happy. I feel like the micro machine guy from back in the day.
Oh no, you didn't just say micro machine.
Unicorns knows what I'm talking about. John Lopez knows what I'm talking about. Hey Reynolds, I'm back after a long hiatus. Welcome back. How are you balancing work life, self-care? Don't have children and could work all day long. If I could, I am struggling here. So look, dude, if I didn't have kids, I would happily work all day long. I love working. I would do schoolwork. I would do business, Real Rap with Reynolds stuff. It's never ending.
It's endless.
It's, you know what it is? Never ending story. So
we have to pull away from work constantly.
I do. It's just giving myself parameters. It's like timing myself and making sure I am eating something that resembles health and getting outside. I find that being outside, even in my yard, I really haven't gone many places outside of my house unless I'm like forced to go to the food store like I am today, which it fills me with anxiety. But it's I'm just looking at sometimes the omitted comments are just like so ridiculous. Like, how does this person exist in the world? I am just thinking about like, what am I doing outside of the house? And as far as that's how I balance things. But this whole quarantine thing, I feel really blessed because it hasn't been difficult for me. Like we really get along a lot. If you saw the beginning and my wife tried to start arguing on with me, that's different. But like, I just feel like we've been having a good time. We've been really hanging out with the kids a lot and like, and just doing dumb stuff like making balloon animals and playing games and putting the puzzles together. And
I mean, we waver. I waver. Sometimes this makes me kooky, and I'm a homebody person, like a super big homebody person. So quarantine doesn't really bother me. But I guess once the option, I like to shop. So I like to just go out like into stores. That's probably been the hardest part. Is like if I want to, I just don't have the option.
And we don't have. I wish I had more supplies to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I wish someone, I was like Dick Pernicky and someone could just fly some supplies into me in Alaska and then just drop them off in the water and then, like the old Wilderness Family movie. But that would be it. Yeah. That's all I'm wishing for. So yeah, overall, it's been like pretty chill. And I'm kind of enjoying myself because I know this ends at some point. I don't know when, but I know that ends. Like we're not going to be stuck in our house.
This is hard for a lot
of
of people. A lot of like,
dude. If I had an apartment, if I didn't have a yard, if I lived by myself,
how
like
many years of our marriage have we had to like work on to get to this healthy place? So who aren't in healthy relationships or marriages.
If you don't have a job, if you don't know how you're paying your mortgage, dude, there's tons of that stuff out there, and I get it, but it's
I just think you have to keep focusing on the positives that you have.
Yeah.
That's literally it. It's a mind game.
I think it's totally a mind game. I think it's the game is gratefulness. It is feeling grateful and like 3 times a day. Like and so you know what I like? This is totally random ADD thought. We were talking about this the other day a little bit where Kim told me one time, our friend Slim Kim said that whenever she sees a cardinal, she prays. Like that's just like her thing that she does. And another time, Rod White told me that whenever he walks through a door, he says a quick prayer. Like that's just what he does. Like, so like if he's not, I guess like not coming in and out from your kitchen, getting a brownie, but if you're walking in from the backyard or you're coming in the house for the day or you're walking into work, he just says a prayer. And so I think sometimes when we build in those routines, like maybe that looks like being grateful for you. Maybe that looks like every time you wake up, the first thing you do is say 5 things that you're grateful for. Like it is changing your mindset. And I think Tom Bilyeu at Impact Theory, which is a great YouTube channel, if you've not checked that out, has a lot of really interesting things to say about that too. It's a lot of this sort of like your mind doesn't know whether what you're thinking is real or fake, right? Or real or imagined. So that's why worry causes anxiety. It's not that the problem's actually real. You're worried about you might lose your job. It's not, you're not losing your job right now. Or when we wake up because we had a bad dream and then, or the other night, I forget what you did. Did I tell you about this? I had a bad dream that you did something. Oh, you invited like 15 kids over our house during the quarantine. And it was like, I come in and it was insanity. And then you're like, all right, I have to go to the food store. And I was like, no. So it went so bad that I woke up. I literally looked at you while we were sleeping. It was like middle of the night. And I, like this. Like I was just pissed off. Like I was just like, how could you? It didn't even happen, right? It was like totally my imagination. But studies show that if you focus on gratitude, if you tell yourself that things are going well, you can actually trick your brain because your brain doesn't know the difference between real and fake sometimes. And I just think that is worth keeping in mind in these times. Cheyenne is asking, question, what advice do you have for student teacher who wants to help their mentor during this time but aren't sure how? Cheyenne, I would find the, similar to what I said to someone earlier about like if you're an aide in a class, find the 4 students that are really struggling. Like if you can get access to the grade book and you see like who's doing no work or whose work is getting half done or something like that, and then reach out to those kids, send a message to their parents, send a message to the student and do a Zoom call with them, a FaceTime with them, a phone call with them, and just try and help them feel like they can do it and give them tools on how to do it. So you might not be teaching a class right now, but you are getting that one-to-one connection with students and taking students that think they can do nothing and helping them get to 1 is the start. And then you build momentum from there. That's 100% what I would be spending my time doing with kids, and especially kids that like kind of no one wants to deal with or people think are like the kids that fly under the radar even. Like those are really important to me right now. Those are the kids that have been on my mind. I've really been praying about this week are my guys at school that just fly under the radar. And when I'm with them, I can make the connection. Now that I'm not with them, they don't answer emails, they don't answer phone calls. It's been really difficult, but I would try and win with those students. Kim Wallback is asking, are you teaching live or are you recording lessons? I'm only recording lessons. I told the school that sometimes I say things and then someone's going to watch this. And
nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to watch in for however long you've been on. 56 minutes now.
I
to get to this
told my staff when they were worried about this that I would not teach live lessons. I just don't think that it's fair to teachers and I don't think it's fair to students. It is what that to me means is we are trying to recreate brick and mortar schools using technology. And that's a bad idea. I think that what we should be doing in this time anyway is reimagining what real school, quote in quotes, actually looks like. And so I think that this video piece that I've been doing it's just far more beneficial. Like it's engaging, it's short, it's to the point, it creates things that kids can go back to and learn about. And I've seen 100 different versions of people doing this where, like, if you don't want your face to be on there, then a colleague of mine the other day taught, I think it was biology lesson, by doing a Google PowerPoint. Then she screen recorded herself on her iPad and spoke, like turned the microphone on. So she recorded herself going through the PowerPoint, highlighting things, underlining things, circling things, and having it like essentially what would be happening in a classroom. Because in the classroom, you shouldn't be looking at me anyway if I have a PowerPoint behind me. So that's how she kind of was doing, like walking kids through that. And she never had to show her face. It was just her voice. And that makes people a little bit more at ease than putting their mug on a video sometimes. Did you have another one, or am I looking through this, John?
I thought I did.
All right. I'm starting to lose my voice here, wife.
Sorry.
Then I'm coughing. People are going to think I'm sick. It's going to be nuts.
Someone was saying on here that they have to teach online and give video to go along with.
I would really love to know the rationale behind the teaching online live thing. Like, what are schools thinking, and how are teachers feeling about that?
They're literally trying to recreate.
Maybe some teachers are having a good time with that and it's going well. Like, I see benefit for. Does anybody that does that
online, is it going well?
Yeah, is that working for you? Like teaching live to your students? I feel like in some cases it could. But I think mostly I would do it for student engagement, for kids to just be able to talk. Yeah. Because my guys seem like they're so bored. I wonder if
that's why they are doing it. Schools are doing it. The connection piece still there.
Cheyenne's asking, any advice for people interning in the fall, possibly online? So same kind of thing I said to those other folks. It's like I would. Is the dog stuck outside? I think.
Oh, I'll go get him.
The dog, because we have the screen door now, he just keeps walking out the back door, but then he can't get back in. And then he just smushes his face up against the screen, which is really hilarious looking. And then whines.
He's so cute.
So I think it is trying to find students that need help and reaching out to them. I think that's the absolute move. And my guess is, look, to be honest, depending on who your teacher is and how long ago they taught, or they started teaching, if they are not into tech, you might actually be able to find a ton of stuff online that's going to help their students during this distance learning time, where they are like, they don't know about vocabulary. They don't know about the New York Times educational section. They don't know about Quizlet or a number of the other programs, or just how much you can do on Google Classroom. And that could totally help them. So I think really getting adjusted to what online learning can look like, so that you are showing up prepared to be able to say, hey, kids not having success doing that, I know these 3 other ways. Or have you tried this website or this app to try and help your students grow and learn? And that's what I would try and do. Summer Hayward is asking, how are y'all coping with and feeling like paper pushers? I'm doing all the things for teaching that I don't love and can't do things I love, like see my students. Yeah, it feels like it's a lot of like, it is fake rigor. It is trying to make something that we're hoping students keep doing and learning. It's a lot of that. The thing that is kind of keeps me going is trying to make lessons that are meaningful and trying to remember to tell my students, what you didn't let the dog in?
I did. He's right here.
Okay. I didn't hear it. So are you good now? Stuck out there in the sun? It is trying to make what we're learning still important and telling kids why we're doing it. Because the question that I'm getting from students the most is, why do we have to do this? Why do we still have work? Why are you guys giving us all this work? I have all this work to do. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? And so it's saying, this is why. We're doing this because your mind will atrophy if you're not critically thinking every day. If you literally watch Tiger King and play Fortnite all day, you are going to become dumb. So you have to be doing something, reading every day, writing every day, critically thinking every day. And I don't care what that looks like, because like I said, this doesn't go on forever. So I don't think we're not going to have kids that come back to school and don't know anything. But if you could take 20 minutes every day and read with your family, like everyone after dinner, read off for 20 minutes and then have a conversation. What'd you read about? What was your protagonist doing? What's going on in your book? What does it remind you of? What did it make you think of? What was it like? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And why? Simple conversations like that, or writing those down and then having a conversation about it. That I think that is just really an important thing that students could be doing every day, and it could just be that simple. Now, look, that's not sustainable. Like, we still need things like science and history and math, and like kids need to be doing that and exercising those muscles as well. But it's like ultimately remembering, why are we doing any of that stuff? We're doing it for you to learn certain skills. So can we help kids learn those skills and not necessarily bombard them with content, but learning, like more so like give them the skills and then remind them why they are learning those skills. That was the last one. I just
There you go. Someone asked about green screen, or you're like, they're making videos, and they asked about the music that where do you get it from?
All the music that I get, I use from a guy that makes music for me, who's a DJ and just creates music for me. But you can get free music if you go to YouTube Audio Library on YouTube, and they have tons and tons and tons of free music. So then that way, if you're putting your stuff up on YouTube, you're not going to get like a strike against you, or if you're monetizing your stuff, it won't get demonetized. But like, even if you're just using regular lessons though, I use a program. So if I want to use, like, when you see me, if you watch my videos and I use like a movie clip or something like that in it, there's an app or like a plugin called YouTube Downloader, and it's free, and it looks shady, but it's not. It's really, really easy to use. But I download that to my computer, and then I just can take any YouTube video that I want. I use YouTube Downloader. It downloads it to my computer, and then I'm able to like just pull that into my movie. So it just becomes a video file.
Mike D said use free chill hop beats. They are great until they get picked up by Epic.
Yeah.
And
so
then
like that happened.
Demonetizes old videos that we used, even though they were free when they were free.
Yep. It was awful. I would used to look up like free for use hip hop beats, or not copyright, like uncopyrighted beats or whatever, right? Like, so whatever the language was, royalty free hip hop beats. But then 4 years ago, I was using stuff, and who was picking them up?
Epic Sound or something.
Epic Sound, which is a paid subscription, I guess, bought those beats from those folks, put them on their site, and then they were like, no, now you owe us. Now we're taking your video down. I'm like, that video has a lot of views and like makes me money. And now all of a sudden, like, I got these when they were free. So all you have to do is contest it on YouTube. You just go back and like, write an email and say, Epidemic Sound.
Yeah, so be careful with that.
But that sucked. It was so crazy. I'm like, because even when we used to find them, I'm like, these are so good to be using them for free.
And that was wild. The YouTube channel.
But that's why I think YouTube Audio Library has really good stuff. And it's better than that terrible free music that they give you on iMovie.
John Lopez said, we need to send you a drum machine and a sequencer. We don't need anything else to do, John Lopez.
So I downloaded one. There's a new app. It's called, I forget what it's called, but it popped up on Instagram. And now that we're talking about it, it's going to pop up on everyone's Instagram because their phones are listening to us. But it was like a drum machine app, and an app where you can take songs, pull them in. It gives you turntables, and you can mix them and remix them, like just using your fingers. And it looks awesome.
Unicorns, whispers,
yes. Unicorns, you should make
you to learn how to play.
You should make your music available for everyone to use, and then they can just have ukulele music, and that would be hilarious. Whole YouTube community doing that.
All right. Can you answer the actual question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know there was another one in front of me. Any idea? This is Kim. Kim Morrissey is asking, Any questions for rewarding or acknowledging students who are handing in assignments and working hard? In class, we use Class Dojo and a box full of prizes. What can we do now? So Kim, I would ask your school if there's any sort of incentive piece that they want to do as a whole. I got an email from my department head the other day that said, I don't think I told you this. List hit us up and she was like, if you need any supplies, you should not be using your own stuff. So if you're printing stuff out, if you are using things from home, like this is stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Because I don't even have my school computers at school. Like I didn't bring it home because I didn't think I was going to need it. And because we just got told to stay home, like out of nowhere. So it's so I reached out to them for like certain, like the poetry workbooks that I've been using, and they ordered them for me. But I would reach out to your school and have them do stuff. Or wouldn't it be kind of fun? Like I'm just wondering if you could do, if there was money set aside from that, like if teachers got a little bit of money and you could order something and send it to a kid's house, or send them like a, you know, if they, some kind of gift card, some sort of incentive like that. That's a really expensive incentive, but like, I'm just trying to like, I don't know, that has my mind turning.
It's a good Facebook post conversation.
That is a good feed. That is a good one. That like, so is anyone using incentives right now in class, and how are you incentivizing what students are doing? So I think test, question, and I'm going to ask about incentives too. Because as a school, we give away incentives to students as well, but now we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Cool. So Marty's rambling is asking, hey, finally caught your live feed. Hey man, thanks for being here. I pray that you're all doing well. I really enjoy your channel. CJ, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Any advice for a 53-year-old changing careers for teaching? Marty from Minnesota. Man, we didn't get any snow this year. So this is like, the quarantine is like all the snow days like that we would have never even have got. So I think one of the key things is remembering, I get a lot of emails from people that are like in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are changing careers. And I think the thing to remember is how much you know. So like I talk about this all the time, but one of my favorite things that, you know, my hero, David Lee Roth, the lead singer of Van Halen, says is that everything in life is cross-training. So when David Lee Roth is learning to do calligraphy, when he's learning martial arts, when he's learning to rock climb, like all of these things influence the type of singer and frontman that he's going to be. So whoever you've been up to 53, and all the jobs you've had, the life experiences that you've had, the things that you've been through that have been difficult and fun and enjoyable and bring passion and excitement to your life, all that stuff is going to inform the type of teacher that you are going to be. Be mindful of that, because I think that, you know, Unicorns Rock can play the ukulele in class or do stuff in videos for her students, because that's who she is. Her fun side, her whimsical side, her the hilarity that she brings to class is who she is already. So when I bring things like music to class, or my silliness, or I build a lot of stuff in my classroom, or, you know, whatever weird thing I'm kind of doing in school, all comes out of a very natural place, but it's a person that I have been cultivating for years, and then that person shows up to teach. And so who have you been for 53 years is really important. And I know that I'm a better teacher now than I was in my mid-20s, because I just have more life experience now. I have more things I can connect lessons to, connect ideas to, where I think a lot of folks that start teaching later in life think that the 22 and to 25-year-olds have something on them because they started younger, or they're young, or they're cooler, or they're hipper. But I don't think that's the case. I think you're bringing a lot of great stuff with you when you are teaching later in life, and that's just something that you can pull from and is really an awesome thing. Reading me notes?
Yes, just read it. No, hold on.
Okay, cool. Okay, got it. So look, I'm gonna go because I have something else that I have a call that I have to make, and I'm losing my voice. I can just feel it. I'm verklempt. So, but look, here's the exciting thing. This week, the book is going to go out on pre-sale, right? Teach Your Class Off. The Real Rap Guide to Teaching is going on pre-sale this week. And then I believe it's, can I say this part? The launching, that's official. So if you pre-order it now, you will get it on April 17th. So that's the actual release date. So if you've never pre-ordered something before, you can, as long as you pre-order it before then. Well, actually, I would do it now because Prime is not honoring like their.
Well, not now, as in like now. Do it when we.
Yeah, as soon as I announce it. Show on April 17th, and then we're going to do something because I had this pre-sale idea in my head, but like sweatshirt, no one's printing sweatshirts, no one's printing stickers, but I have a bunch of stuff already. We're going to do something for like the first, I don't know, chunk of people. We don't have a number on that, but even if it was like the first.
There will be an official announcement with an official pre-sale, like something or other, but we have to figure all that out because our plan
because the world is stopping. It's coming to a halt, and all the stuff I was going to order is not orderable. So be mindful of that. Like be prepared. And so I'm really, really excited. This is something that I've really like worked my ass off to do. It has been to write this book and then rewrite this book and then rewrite this book and then get all these pieces together. The idea that this book is already being sent to our house. So we get 100 free copies to send all the people that have sort of helped with stuff, or to schools and different stuff. The idea that box could show up any day now with my actual book that I will actually hold is like friggin' blowing my mind. So that pre-sale date will show up. I'll let you know this week when that goes. As soon as I know, I'll make an announcement on social. What was she saying? Did you want to say anything about that? Or
no, Mike G said when will the announcement approximately be? Probably Monday or Tuesday, and it'll most likely be on.
I literally need to call Amazon on Monday, straighten something out, and then as soon as they fix that, I'm going to let everybody know. Yeah. So that's it. So
we're really excited.
Yep. Awesome, guys. Well, I will see you. I'll be back next week, even if you're on spring break, on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then I'll be live all this week. Trying to go live every day at noon on Instagram with some new guest that I'm connecting with. And that's it, gang. I will talk to you next week.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. And now hitting all the buttons like I always do.